Hello everybody, this is Keith and you're watching Barber's Auto Help. I've got my '05 Honda Odyssey here again, and we've got an oil leak coming from the oil filter housing gasket, and we're going to go ahead and get in there and fix that today. This is the part number that you're going to need for this right there. That's a Honda genuine part right there. I'm sure that they make these aftermarket. I went ahead and just went to Honda. I didn't want to take this thing off and find out that it was the wrong part. So it's not a plug for Honda. I'm just saying they can look it up by VIN number, and you can make good and sure that you're getting the right part that way. So let's go ahead and get into it. Alright, so here it is. It's on the right side of the vehicle. I have the vehicle lifted with the tire off, of course. Now this video isn't to show you how to safely and properly lift up your vehicle and support it, so you need to get that information elsewhere. But this right here, that's your oil filter housing, or aka oil filter adapter. I call it the oil filter adapter, and as you can see, it's been leaking pretty good there, and there's 3 bolts that hold it in. You can see 1, 2, 3, and we're going to go ahead and take that off, take the gasket out, clean up the mating surfaces, and reassemble it. Now, I'm sure you noticed I've got this splash shield taken loose and folded in right there. I just did that for clarity. You don't necessarily have to do that in order to gain access to this oil filter adapter, just FYI. Alright, now you're going to need a 12mm socket for these bolts, and be sure you have a catch pan up underneath this to catch the oil that's going to spill out, because there is going to be a little bit of oil spillage. Let's go ahead and loosen them up there. It's a little tighter than I thought it was going to be. Kind of in an awkward position, so that's why I'm straining so hard. I'm not that weak. Alright, we got them loosened up. Now we can take them out the rest of the way by hand. Alright, there's the last one. Now this bolt right here is longer than the others, and it goes right there, so keep that in mind when you're going back together with it, okay? Now I'm just going to take this oil filter, I'm going to grab it, I'm just going to pull up on the housing like that, and there goes that oil, and there we go. Now while I got you here, I'm going to go ahead and take a lint-free rag, and I'm just going to clean up the mating surface real good. You can see I got a lot of gunk and stuff on there, and to tell you the truth, had a bit of an afterthought after I took this housing off. I probably should have sprayed down the area with brake clean before I actually took it off. So that's something that you can do to prevent you from having to worry about all this gunk and stuff getting in the oil system. I should be okay. Alright, so here's the housing, and there's your gasket there, and the thing is hard as a rock. This is pretty typical on these Hondas. The gaskets that are made like this basically become plastic, and then they start leaking. Now, as I told you already, I probably should have cleaned this up real good before I actually took it off, so forgive me. I'm just going to try to wipe some of this stuff off right here, and I'm going to spray it down real good with some brake clean. Now I'm going to hold this like this while I spray it down with some brake clean to prevent brake clean from actually going up and getting in the oil filter and staying there. We want it all to drip out. We don't want to contaminate our oil filter with brake clean. Just going to spray it off real good. What a mess. Be sure all that brake clean dries out in the orifices and stuff, or that it drips out. We're going to take a pick, and we're going to pick this gasket out of the housing. I'm going to be real careful just to kind of puncture the gasket, and we're not going to dig into the mating surface of the housing because we don't want to mar it. We want to make sure we got a good mating surface all the way around. So you want to do that without scratching this area up inside there. Now, you've probably noticed here, and also on the mating surface where the housing bolts up, you got some oil sludge and stuff. And what I would recommend using for cleaning that up is just a Scotch-Brite scouring pad, and this isn't a plug for Scotch-Brite. We use these at work. I work at a dealership, and we've got really good luck with these. It doesn't really mar the surface. Of course, when you use it very lightly, light pressure. You're not going to sit there and grind the mess out of it. You're just wanting to get all that soot and stuff out of there and get a good mating surface. So I would suggest using that. And I just go right up inside that surface there like that. And we're just going to clean all that grime and soot and sludge out. When you're done cleaning your mating surface, go ahead and spray it down again real good with some brake clean. Clean out those holes real good, let it drip out. Get any foreign material out of this housing that may have gotten in there. Dump it out real good. And if you got compressed air, blow it out with some compressed air by all means. So we got the inlaid area cleaned out real good. We got it sprayed out with brake clean real good. We don't have any lint, any foreign materials in there. We're going to go ahead and take our new gasket, place it inside. You know, it's kind of a little bit of a press fit in there. It'll hold its position once it's in all the way. Alright, now let's turn our attention to the mating surface on the block there. Same thing on this mating surface. We're just going to take our Scotch-Brite scouring pad and just very lightly just clean that surface, the mating surface there. Just get the oil sludge and the debris off of it. You're not sanding it, just prepping the surface. Now once you get it cleaned up, do take your lint-free rag, and I wouldn't spray any brake clean down in those holes, but do spray your lint-free rag with some brake clean and go ahead and wipe down your surfaces here. Now I'm sure you probably notice that there's a little bit of a gray shadow where that gasket made it up with that surface there. You're not going to get rid of all of that, but you want to make sure all your debris, all your oil sludge, any foreign materials are off the mating surface and that you got a nice flat clean mating surface. That's more like a stain on the metal, if you will. That's not all going to come out. So, but just make sure all this is clean. Once you're done cleaning your surface here, inspect your holes. Make sure there's no lint. Make sure there's no foreign material, debris, anything. If you've got to take a magnifying glass to it with a pick and pick the junk out, do that. You know, you don't want any foreign materials in your oil system, so make sure those holes are nice and clean. Okay, now we're ready for some assembly. We've got our gasket inlaid into our oil filter housing, and it's secured to it. And I've got two bolts. Already ran through it, and we're gonna go ahead and get it up there, and by hand we're going to start these bolts. Okay, yeah, you never wrench them down initially. You start them by hand at first. I'll start with this one. Just get it started. And let's go with this one too. Let's run our last bolt in by hand. Once you got your bolt started, then you can take your socket and your extension and run it down the rest of the way by hand. You shouldn't feel any resistance putting these in by hand. It should go in nice and smooth. If you start to feel resistance, you may have a problem. You do not want to cross thread these bolt holes, because then you're in a real pickle and you got to fix it. Alright, now all three of our bolts are ran down by hand. Now we're going to go ahead and torque down our bolts to specification. Now you need to refer to your repair manual for the torque specification on this. I don't have that information for you. I do apologize. And in order to torque these down properly, you do need to use a torque wrench, and that's not shown here. But we're going to go ahead and torque these down. Alright, so we've got our bolts torqued down, and now for the next step. This is the most important step. We want to make sure that we fixed it and that it's not leaking. So I'm gonna go ahead and spray this area down with some brake clean again and clean it up real good, and then I'm gonna crank it up and I'm gonna make sure that we're not leaking any oil. You're gonna make sure that your oil light goes out. Now if it stays on, then you need to shut the vehicle off and then go out there and look, make sure no oil's anywhere or leaked out, and if it is, then you need to fix it. Now our oil light went out, so we're gonna go ahead and get out and walk over there and make sure we fixed it. Alright, of course, after I sprayed all the brake clean on it and stuff, I made sure it was good and dry and evaporated before I started the vehicle up. And it looks like we got her fixed, guys. It's nice and dry right there. Let's look on the other side here. With a flashlight on it. Yeah, nice and dry, nice and dry. Now folks, not only do you need to make sure that it's not leaking oil, but also after you start it, you'll need to shut the vehicle off after you let it run for a little bit and check your oil level again. Your oil level may have dropped a little bit. You got to make sure that your oil level is at the safe level. Alright, well guys, if y'all have any questions, feel free to comment down below there. Also, please read the entire description of this video before you attempt this. I got some more very important information down there, disclaimer, the whole 9 yards. So check that out. Like and subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank you for watching, guys.